The new ad the Labor Party has out, I played it for you last night, so I'm not going to give them the free publicity tonight. You know, it's all the ooga booga, the music, the black and white picture of Peter Dutton, and this ludicrous claim that Australia will be worse off under Peter Dutton, speaking financially. Now, Albo and Chalmers have said this at press conferences, but this is how the image is about to be hammered home. Here they are.
You'll be worse off under Dutton.
As for the Liberal Party, you remember this was the ad that they tried to run against Albanese, quite unsuccessfully. Turned out to be true, by the way, but unsuccessful after the last election, which basically was, hey, don't vote for this guy, it's going to get worse, you'll be worse. Again, they were right. Peter Dutton, for his part, responding to all of this garbage.
It's the whole problem of the government. There's nothing they can look to that people can identify that the government's achieved over the course of the last 3 years. And so you throw out these red herrings and you throw the mud and you start the personal attacks because you're trying to distract away from the reality of the situation.
OK, so it's now time to bring the receipts. It is now time to go through the record, OK? This is what we were researching over the weekend. This is what we were double-checking today. All of this I have sources for. So if anyone would like to double-check them, I'll gladly send them the links from crazy places like the Bureau of Statistics. The reason that ad is offensive is because this government, this bloke, promised to make it better. Remember? This was the promise going into the last election. This was their reaction when interest rates went up once under the previous government.
Australians are getting absolutely smashed by the rising cost of living on Scott Morrison's watch. This is Scott Morrison's triple whammy of skyrocketing cost of living, rising interest rates and falling real wages. This inflation number should be a wake-up call for a government which is out of touch, out of plans and out of time.
And of course, people care about how much they are paying off when it comes to their homes. Reality is, yeah, 30% of people have paid off their house. If you've done that, congratulations. It was hard work. It took a whole lifetime to do. Enjoy your garden and the house that you have worked incredibly hard for. For 30% of the country, they are paying off the house of which they live in. For another 30%, they are renting, which means those homes are bought by someone else, and presumably there's a lot of mortgages on those. And yes, I know interest rates for savings accounts, different conversation. But this is clearly where the extreme bulk of normal middle Australia is. Regardless of what local MP you've been voting for generations, the reality is the extreme cost of paying off a home, insane. And remember, the lipstick on the pig of the climate policies rejected in 2019 was to pretend that magically power prices were going to fall by how much again in 2025, which is now?
Reducing power prices by $275.
By 2025, $275 a year.
$275 a year.
$275 by 2025. We stand by that.
But it never happened. Why? Because apparently it doesn't matter that they made the promise. Oh, you fell for it. Crazy you, right? That something as clear as that would have been delivered. Not in some sort of sugar hit, 12-month, $25 a month credit. The cost of electricity, because of so many wonderful new renewables, would be dramatically cheaper. Of course it isn't. You know that. And there's one hell of a great debate that happened on our air here today that I will be revelling in showing you in a moment or two's time. But let's stay here with this ad. Let's stay focused. Their claim, it'll all be worse under Peter Dutton, after promising that it would all be better under them. So you're sitting down, because it's time now to pull together 3 years of holding this government to account. As I have often used the metaphor, that shows like ours and moments like this are ones where we really do sort of count the grains of sand on the beach and we see every little decision that they make. But the reality is the wider population, for very obvious reasons, their view of the beach is sort of from end to end. Well, tonight, right now, I'm going to put all the grains of sand together for you so that you can tell your mates that are just looking at the beach that it ain't the same one that it was 3 years ago. In fact, it is grossly eroded and we're in a world of trouble. This is the record of how Anthony Albanese, the Labor Party and all of its minions have made life worse for Australia. These are not fringe issues, these are not side issues, these are not culture wars. 12 interest rate rises under their watch. The average home loan in Australia is for about $500,000. It's about $1,200 a month that all of these extra little increases have added up to. That's $14,000. Double that number if you've got $1 million mortgage. Add another $14,000 to that if it's 1.5. Another $14,000 if you're on $2 million mortgage. And that is tens of thousands of dollars that you did not have to find to pay off your home, but you have had to under this bloke. 30% of homes across this country are in mortgage stress, where the percentage of money that you are spending on paying off your house is now into a danger zone, meaning that it is eating into your capacity to pay for the rest of your life. Again, I've got the receipts, got the data, happy to send anyone the link who wants to doubt. Under this government that promised to do better, that claims the other one will be worse, there has been 21 months, 7 quarters in a row, of a per capita recession where the citizenry is going backwards, where they don't have the money to catch up to the type of bills that, like paying off a house, higher insurance, all the rest of it, are mounting. Which means that we are in the worst living standards for Australians since 1959. He reckons it's going to get worse under the other bloke. It's horrible under this bloke. 27,500 businesses have gone bust since the last federal election. My far right-wing think tank source on that? The Australian Securities and Investment Commission, ASIC, 27,500 businesses going bust since they were elected. Foodbank, 3.7 million people every week in Australia go hungry because they will run out of food or they don't know where their meals will come from at the back half of the week because the bread runs out and they've got no money to buy more. According to the current census, and the numbers have exploded since, according to the homeless advocacy groups, we have the highest number of homeless people in Australia ever, with 3 million more people on the verge of becoming homeless because of how difficult it is to pay off a house, how difficult it is to rent a house, and I'll get to that in a second. 58% of low-income households are in rental stress. This is where the amount of money that you have to spend on rent is way higher than a third of your income. Way higher. Meaning that the 2/3 that's supposed to pay for the rest of your life and the kid's life, let alone the fridge goes bust, the car's buggered up, or for whatever reason you need to get your hands on, $250, you're in a world of financial pain, meaning people are frightened about whether they're going to have a roof over their head for themselves or their kids. Worse under the next guy. This is the standard under this bloke. And even then, if you're looking for a rental house, how's this? Before we show the stat, I want you to think of all of the houses that are in Australia. I think there's about 10 million homes, dwellings, obviously a little bit higher than that, right? Because not everyone lives by themselves, family groups. What percentage of all of the houses in all of Australia, I'm saying all of the houses in all of Australia, all the granny flats, all the units, how many do you reckon are available for rent right now? Answer, 0.7%. Not even 1% of all of the houses in all of Australia, all of the places that if it was available to rent, are available to rent right now, looking for tenants right now, have a for lease sign on the properties right now. Yet, this government has brought in 1.3 million people to add to those rental queues, to add to the people that are bidding on the auction, to add to the queue at the local hospital. The view from the beach ain't great anymore. And for 3 years, every night, hammer, 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 because they promised it would be better. This is not your traditional Team Red, Team Blue. This is about people who lied to millions of people to gain power. They got that power and they made things worse. For the extreme majority of Australians, it is worse. And if they want to argue, well, it's all cyclical and everywhere in the world was going through this, that was the case 3 years ago. You made it personal then, you own it now. I could go on about our schools, about our health, about the O systems. I could talk about many other grains of sand on the beach, and we've got many days between now and whenever this election happens. But I want people to understand what you know and what I know. It's worse under this bloke now. We are living the nightmare now. Oh, but it's slightly better than it was 3 weeks ago. No, it's demonstrably worse than when you got the job. There is a very small sliver of people, and good luck to you if you're better off than you were 3 years ago. But for everyone else, much worse off.